Hey everybody, what's up? Jim Cirile and Tanya Klein here from Coverage Inc., the leader in screenplay analysis, development, and editing services for over 20 years. Tanya, what are we talking about here today?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the inactive protagonist. What is an inactive protagonist? Well, first of all, what do we want to see in a protagonist? A protagonist should have a strong goal and they should go after achieving whatever that strong goal is. They need to take action in furtherance of their goal. So what we often see is that you have a reactive protagonist, which means, yeah, they have a goal, but things are given to them. They're if they're trying and hi, this is my cat. Say hello to Gremlin.
Hi, Gremlin.
And so yeah, so apart from the cat, like my goal right now is to get the cat off this chair. So what I do is I help her off the chair.
That was very proactive of you, by the
Yes,
way.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so basically, an inactive protagonist or a reactive protagonist is someone that basically reacts to what's happening around them. They can still have a goal, but mainly it's okay, so that first step that they need to take, someone hands them the clue or someone hands them whatever they need in this particular moment, and then somebody else hands them this and somebody else hands them this, and they become bystanders in their own story. What we want to see is a protagonist that drives their own story, a protagonist that drives the plot.
She's back.
She's back. See, this would be an obstacle, for example.
There you go. Hey, now would be a great time to save the cat.
Yeah, right. But she's quite safe.
So what Tanya's talking about, yeah. What Tanya's talking about here is we see a lot of scripts coming into Coverage Inc. where the protagonist is not really driving their own story. And if you look at, classic screenplay structure, going back to, mythological storytelling, Hero with a Thousand Faces, that sort of thing, they're all built all of those stories going back 1,000 years, they're all sort of built from the same skeleton, which is the protagonist needs something, and if they don't go on this mission or journey or adventure to get this thing, this very important thing, then very bad things will happen. Think of a few movies with a structure like that. I don't know, Star Wars, right? I mean, basically, it's like, what happens if Luke doesn't go on this adventure? Well, bad things are going to happen. First of all, his aunt and uncle just got killed by the Empire, so now he knows like he can't just like sit around and do nothing and ignore the threat because the whole galaxy is at stake. He's got to go on what we call the hero's journey. Okay, so this person needs to take the steps and drive the story every step of the way. He or she is trying to achieve the goal, which generally doesn't happen until the end of the movie. That's classical screen story structure. Of course, there's plenty of other structures, there's alternative structures and stuff like that. But generally speaking, like, I don't know, maybe 75%, maybe even higher, 80% of stories, of spec screenplays kind of follow the protagonist on an urgent mission, with high stakes sort of structure. And it may be high stakes that are just high to the person, not necessarily like the whole galaxy is at stake, right? But still, if the person doesn't achieve this, then bad things are going to happen to this person, to, his or her life, to his or her career. So they have to put things into motion to achieve that goal.
Exactly. And they are the ones who have to do it, not wait around for it to be given to them. Or sometimes you can even have protagonists that are seemingly active. However, if you actually look at the story, no, just because they're running around doing a lot of things doesn't necessarily make them active. Just because they even kill a few bad guys, for example, doesn't even make them active if the things that they need to complete their quest are handed to them. So again, whatever they need every step of the way, they are the ones that have to go out and get it.
There, there's also the paradigm of, the innocent schmuck who gets caught up in something that they don't understand and they don't even want to be a part of. And they just, the plot does happen to them. And along the way, they sort of, get with the program and they do have to kind of change course correct, whatever you want to call it. And they do sort of take control at this point. But there's plenty of great movies that sort of start like that, where it's like, this isn't my zoo. It's not my monkeys. What am I doing here? Monty Python's Life of Brian, case in point. Brian doesn't want to have anything to do with the whole story of the movie. It just keeps coming at him. He can't have everything he tries to do to avoid it just makes it worse, right? That's fine too. But at some point, it's still going to come down to, Brian is trying to drive the story. It just doesn't work.
Exactly.
So anyway, so that's basically it, right? When you have an inactive protagonist, what happens is the audience disengages. We lose interest. Lots of times what writers will do is they'll use deus ex machinas to have things happen in their story. A coincidence. A character just shows up that they haven't spoken to in a long time, gives them a key piece of information. Well, that was handy, right? The protagonist didn't have to work to find this person or get this key piece of information. It just happens to them, right? That's not good writing. But if the protagonist actually had to, speak to person A, who leads them to clue B, who takes them to, aqueduct C, where they meet with the shady informant until finally they come up with person D, who's the person who's going to give them that key piece of information, that's good writing.
Exactly. So again, make sure your protagonist is active. And again, by active, your protagonist takes the steps, drives the story, needs to fulfill their quest. Read the script and look the key pieces on the way, the key things that the protagonist must achieve. How does the protagonist achieve them? Does he or she achieve them because they're working? They're doing, begging, borrowing, stealing, whatever?
Yeah.
Or is there at some point just, gee, the lucky circumstance or the lucky person who has the keys they need? If that
Yeah.
happens, that's a problem. So make sure.
Coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coincidence is bad. Now, the rule of thumb, they actually taught us this in UCLA screenwriting school. You are allowed one coincidence per script. Use it well. Okay. I don't know where they came up with this statistic. It seems to be true. If somebody comes along at the right time and it happens once in the story, the audience will probably go, it's okay. As long as everything else is clicking. But if it's a whole series of that type of thing, not so much. So
not going to work.
deus ex machinas, coincidences,
Yeah.
no.
And another way to achieve an active protagonist is to think about how important is the goal to the protagonist. So that goal must be all important to the protagonist.
Yeah.
So you as the writer, keep that in mind. Again, you as a writer, there is a reason that you're writing this script, that you're attracted to this story. And my guess is it has a lot to do with the protagonist's goal. So keep that goal front and center in your mind, and you should have an easier time achieving an active protagonist.
All right, folks, thanks for watching. You know what to do. There's a button there and there's a button there. One of them says like and the other says subscribe. I don't know which is which because I'm making this up and pointing at thin air right now. But press them, okay? That's what you need to do right now, right there. There you go. Press that like button, press that subscribe button. Any questions, just hit us up. The answers are always free. Tanya, where can people find us?
You can find us at info@coverageinc.com. So that's ink with a K, as in, the ink that you write with. Info@coverageinc.com. If you have a question, the answers are free.
Live long and prosper.